favorite pictures that I wanted to start us out with. This was actually from the very first Women's March. This is one of our regular folks at our Civil Rights Sundays events, and I just liked this picture as well. So how is the Occupy New Hampshire SeaCoast formed? We actually have been around for quite a while. We are an offshoot from the Occupy Wall Street that began back in 2011. Everyone remembers the occupation of Zuccotti Park. Basically, it was in response to wealth inequality, political corruption, corporate influence of government. One of their main logos or slogans was, "We are the 99%." I don't know if you can read this, but it says the 99% is watching, or just 99% is watching, because that's all we could fit on the banner. The protesters' perceptions basically about income disparity and economic equality were what keyed off Occupy Wall Street. This banner, actually, we raised this up when Obama was actually speaking at Pease. So we are a nonpartisan organization. We protest whatever's going on. The Occupy movement didn't actually start with the crash in 2007, 2008. It didn't start until 2011 because basically they just came to realize that no one was addressing the issues and bringing us out of the economic crisis. This is just one of we do an annual Choccupy on Black Fridays in Portsmouth, and that's a picture from that. We actually started out as Occupy Dover. It was the first local group. Started in October, November of 2011 after the Wall Street started. We actually expanded as Occupy became popular. We actually had Occupy Rochester and Newmarket. As the movement slowed down, we just joined everyone together and became Occupy New Hampshire SeaCoast. We used to, when we actually started, we would meet outside in Henry Law Park until it got too cold, and then we would go into the library. And then this is some of our original folks at one of the coffee shops in Dover, at Dell's, having a meeting. As was said before, you have to have some fun too. This is our purpose, or the quote, our slogan: Occupy New Hampshire SeaCoast is a local group working to promote social and economic equality worldwide. Very broad. One of the offshoots, actually, of our Occupy group is we have the Overpass Light Brigade, SeaCoast Overpass Light Brigade, and so you'll see some other pictures, basically, of these. These folks actually, I think it was this woman actually has an Overpass Light Brigade in Germany, and she was visiting. This gentleman is from a Overpass Light Brigade down in Massachusetts, and so they came up and we wanted to do a small thing. That's one of the nice things about the overpass, is you can have some smaller visibilities and they're still very effective. Our structure, we follow Occupy Wall Street and Occupy New Hampshire. Occupy is meant to be a leaderless organization. So basically it's who shows up. When we have our meeting, we use the consensus decision, very similar to what the Quakers use. One of the important things that we hold ourselves to in our meetings is step up and stand back, or step up and step back. I think basically to allow people who don't often get the limelight to be able to step up. So as a white middle-aged man, I should step back if there's an African American woman that wants to speak. As a gay man, I might step up over another white man. A middle-aged male or something. So we have found that to be very useful in our meeting structure. How do we communicate? I had actually written this out before. This was another presentation I've done a couple of years ago, but I wanted to add in the person-to-person because I think most folks that are organizers have heard the slogan that you have to actually go out and talk to the people, and I'm finally starting to realize that's true. You do have to talk person to person. We do have an email list, but not everyone is on Facebook and Twitter, so we try to send it out and don't overuse it because some people will opt out. So we usually do one a week, just because we are, especially right now, we're doing Civil Rights Sundays every week, so we have a different focus every week. To grow your list, you want to try to work the crowds and get people as much as possible, so to be a good organizer. We do have a Facebook page with about 3,500 folks following us. It's important for folks to go in if you are trying to support a group, to go in and view what they've got, what they're posting, share, like, and comment on it. That helps any group to grow. And if you want to be part of the group, to do it as well. We do also have a Twitter page and a website, which I thought I put up here, but it's Occupy SeaCoast at gmail.com. Actually, I'll have to, no, it's just occupyseacoast.org, that's what it is. Sorry. And again, just because we've had all these things, specifically a website, people have actually found us through those. Talking about communications, part of the reason why I put these two pictures up here is this was actually from this last year's Women's March. And this woman was one of the best speakers at the Women's March, but she's actually deaf. So she did the entire thing in sign language, and what was amazing was her partner translated for her. And it was, again, one of the best, most moving speeches of the day. And part of it was because her partner was able to translate the emotion, and she knew what she was trying to say.
Great juxtaposition, though.
That's great.
Put the translator up as a speaker.
Well, actually, we had microphone systems, so this is actually the woman that was speaking, and her partner was down below.
No, but normally that the
translator is up there.
He's
Yeah.
down in the corner, you know.
Yeah. Well, right, but the translator was actually speaking.
It's great. Yeah. Great.
So, and then this one is kind of funny. I told you that we did the Chalkupy thing. We've done several Chalkupy events where we go around. This is actually chalked on the wall of an underpass in Portsmouth. So it's kind of like we actually have cave drawings as a method of communication.
That's great.
That's cute.
It's great.
So yeah, we have done a lot of different things to try to communicate. And again, just getting back to you have to actually connect with people person to person. Email and all of the social media is helpful, but you actually have to make those connections. One of the things too, over the years of working with Occupy, is that we have realized that there are a lot of different groups that start up or already exist, and in order to be effective, we have to work with them. So that's one of the things over the last few years that we've really tried to become a bridge between different groups. So these are some of the groups. I already was thinking about a couple that I forgot to put up here. The UNH has a Justice League, basically, which is a progressive group that has come out to a lot of our stuff. They're not on here. There's a New Hampshire youth group that just supported us in our last environmental Civil Rights Sundays event that we did.
You've had some Planned Parenthood folks.
Yeah, we've had Planned Parenthood as well, but are they not on here? Yeah. So yeah, we have reached out and have connections with a lot of the progressive organizations in the state. One of the things we've also found that's helpful is working with national movements. Well before the current situation in Civil Rights Sundays that we were doing, we have been doing Black Lives Matters and Say Her Name events for years. We had ones for Trayvon Martin and multiple victims before Black Lives Matter actually came to be what it is now. We have been working with the Women's March and had 3 Women's Marches. This is actually a picture someone took from a drone, I think, of the Women's March. And it was just really awe-inspiring to have, we figured there was between 3,500 and 5,000 people from different countings, and we shut down the city. It was very funny because we actually tried to be good and talk to the city and say, hey, we're having this thing, but we thought we were getting close to 1,000 people were actually signing up for it. We went to them and they were like, oh yeah, no one's gonna show up. And then they were like, oh my God. So we actually closed down the city for that day.
That's a nice surprise.
Yes. Our 1 Billion Rising, this is one of our earlier like advertisements on Facebook. We actually had Carol Chase Porter speak at our first one. She spoke at a couple different things. Of course, Fight for 15 is another national movement, but I guess what I'm trying to say is there are a lot of these that repeat on and on, but there's a lot of these things that are one-time events. Something goes viral and you just kind of have to take advantage of it, and that helps you grow and to connect with other people that have interest. We do have a lot of regular events that we do plan to try to do every year. The Women's March, New Year's Eve Peace Vigil. Every year for MLK Day, we actually do a Overpass Light Brigade event for sewing. Sorry, I'll think about it in a second. But we also work with SeaCoast Peace Response, and every year for Tax Day they do a penny pole. March Against Monsanto we just actually had. The Halloween parade is one of the funnest ones that we do. This is actually the second picture of our participation in the second one that we ever did. You can't really see it. These are the Koch brothers. Was it David and Charlie? And but what they are is it's a two-headed cockroach. It was a 15-foot-long black cockroach. And these were it was the two heads of the cockroach on it. And again, this was our March Against Monsanto, and this was the Gay Pride in Portsmouth that we participated with for the last 4 years. That was our display. So there's a lot of continuing things that we try to do. As I said, the Portsmouth Halloween Parade is one of the funnest ones. I don't actually have a picture of our first one. We actually just marched in that one, but then we kind of got a little bit more theater-ish in our following ones. We had then, this one was during the 2008 election, I think? No, it couldn't be. No, not 2008. But this basically says what we need as a candidate is not in bed with big money. And it has McCain and Clinton and a number of other politicians in there in a bed. And what's covered, the sheet of the bed is actually covered with logos of different corporations, and there's money sticking out everywhere. So all of these were candidates that we could find masks for. We did, this was, actually no, this was 3 years ago when Hillary was running against Donald Trump. I don't know if you can read it, but it says Oligarch 1 and Oligarch 2 from Thing 1 and Thing 2. We had last year, not this last year, but the year before, we had Rest in Peace Democracy, and that's there's a skeleton in there done up like the Statue of Liberty. And then this last year was one of the funnest ones we did. We actually did Crazy Train, and you can see this is a person, this is an education train car with Nancy DeVos driving it. So we had one for Putin, one for Ben Carson, one for Munich, however you say it. And so that was great, and we get a lot of participation. It's interesting to hear the dialogue as you walk through the crowd. The issues that we care about there are just so many. I know there's a ton that I'm missing out, but the Trans-Pacific Partnership, this was Fight for 15, that's Judy and me. This is when the Hobby Lobby, when we were basically standing up for women's rights, Black Lives Matter, Overpass Light Brigade. We have had multiple things for healthcare, ending wars. This was actually in Rochester, New Hampshire. Obama was speaking, and what we were actually protesting there was the use of drones. There was one National Day of Action where we were saying, where are the jobs? And a no TPP. I think I had another one of those actually. But we also had a lot of bank locally and big banks. We hit quite a few, Bank of America, other banks. We also have had multiple climate change events. This was actually, we went as a group up to Portland. I just wanted to put in this picture of this giant pink bunny. And we've had several things feed the homeless. This was actually a picnic. We were in Rochester Square. We were giving away lunch and also had free clothing as well. We've had multiple movies, More Than a Month, Dead Man Walking, and many other movies and speakers that I can't think of all of them. We've had events around voting rights. Again, our street theater, so after we had the big cockroach, we actually came up, these are two cockroach costumes. They say K-O-C-H, Coke, on the back. So these are our two cockroaches that have come out for Market Square Days and multiple other ones.
Are you bringing them Sunday?
Huh?
Are you bringing them Sunday?
Yes, I think we're supposed to bring them on Sunday.
I got one of them to bring.
Oh, good. And then one more, if you remember Occupy Sandy Relief, we actually collected and delivered to New York a whole U-Haul full of goods. So that was a great event that we did. One of the things that we wanted to talk about was like the participation, and what we have found through this whole thing is the $1 million question is how do you make people take action? This is just another blown up picture of when we had the Women's March. So there is a way to make people come out. Unfortunately, sometimes it can be elusive. What we have to do is just keep the candle lit and keep working, because there are a lot of people that believe in what we believe in. So what are we doing now? Mostly we've been doing the Civil Rights Sundays, and we've been doing that for 2.5 years. We actually, the election was a Tuesday. We had our first one was actually, we all got together to have a protest on a Friday, and that was where Civil Rights Sundays was born, and we decided to do it every Sunday since then, 3 p.m. in Market Square. We usually have a different focus, so if you go to our Facebook page, Occupy New Hampshire SeaCoast, you can actually see what the focus is going to be for that week. A lot of times it's multiple issues, but it's always Civil Rights Sunday, so if you're concerned about something in specific, whether it's women's rights, racial issues, immigration issues, you can bring your sign to whatever. We also have Moral Mondays. Now we actually started out, we had one in Dover, Durham, Rochester, Newmarket, and Exeter. But over the last couple of years, basically they kind of disbanded, except for the one that we have in Kittery. So the last Monday of each month, we have a Moral Mondays in Kittery, and what that is about is writing postcards to legislators and letters to the editor. So we've done, probably counting the ones that we did before, we've done a few thousand letters, postcards rather, to legislators. And another big thing that we've actually accomplished is OneActionNH.org is a calendar that we're doing in conjunction with South Church in Portsmouth. It is a progressive calendar and a contact source. It has a list updated, well, it hasn't been updated in the last 6 or 7 months, but it's in the last year we've updated it of all of the progressive organizations in the state of New Hampshire. So hopefully it has contact information, but it also has a calendar. The main idea is that it has a calendar so you can go on and see what progressive actions. Of course, it's only as good as people using it. It's hard to get folks to take the time to put it on. We keep trying to reach out to different progressive organizations, so if you can spread the word about it and take a look at it, that would be great. If you're with an organization, try to post your information on it. There's a nice little button that you can go in and fill out the information. And I do moderate it. So again, we are nonpartisan, so we don't put a lot of political things on it. It's all more progressive organizations. But the reason why it's OneActionNH.org is South Church is also running a contest, basically, or where, not a contest, but it's basically a challenge that if you don't take one of the actions that we post on this in a month, that we ask you to donate $5 to one of the organizations that's listed on this page. So that has been going on for the last couple of years. We don't really track it very well, but we're hoping that people have been being honorable and following up with that. So that is that is my thing. So I will now turn it over to Linda.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Linda. Welcome Linda Rhodes from Indivisible New Hampshire.